Hey, what's up, y'all? Okay, so let's say I'm in Twitter and I'm looking at a discussion, and it's a huge discussion, so there's a lot of different kind of like sub-threads going on. I've never really been crazy about the way that discussions are displayed in Twitter, in the default Twitter UI. If you contrast that with like, let's say, Reddit, or like here's a Hacker News example. The discussion is it's visually like a tree, right? So if you look at this comment, somebody replies to it, it's indented, and then further on down it's indented, and then of course you can collapse them, uh, etc. So I mean, this is the way threads have been displayed since like the days of Usenet, right? Well, kind of, I guess, in older like email clients and Usenet clients, it would display the subject lines in like a tree-like fashion, right? But anyway, but you get the idea, right? You get basically a hierarchy of the nodes displayed. So like I said, in Twitter, it's pretty much very linearly formatted. You don't get that traditional tree structure. So let's see here. So I've been messing around with this thing where basically I can take a given tweet. If you look at the URL, it's got the ID, right? The tweet ID. So if I take that ID for some tweet that I want to get the entire conversation for, and I run this command. So in this case, it was this one here. The command is tweet thread to org mode, right? And I pass in the ID. I already ran it. It took care of downloading all the data. What it outputs is an org mode file, and I'll just show it here. And so it outputs an org mode file. I load that into Emacs, and what I get is basically the entire the all of the tweets in that conversation or thread. I say conversation because the API docs for Twitter call it. They don't call them threads; they call them conversations. And there's conversation IDs, etc. But anyways, I'll just call them threads. So it downloads the entire thread for that tweet into an org mode document. And since it is an org mode document, every tweet goes inside of its like own node. It's easily navigatable as it were like a traditional threaded discussion. So basically, we're taking a look at this here. This is the tweet where I requested the thread, right? So of course this top level. This is the top level tweet here that you can see that corresponds to this. So um, some of you all might not be familiar with like org mode and Emacs at all, so I'll just kind of explain it as we go. But it starts out with just a single node, right? You hit tab, it expands it, and here you can see the text of that tweet and then all the replies. The numbers here are the likes, the quotes, and let's see here. Yeah, I listed them in the order of like, reply, and retweet. So those are the three numbers here next to the username. So let's see. So what it does is it lists the replies sorted in the order of likes, right? So this was the most popular reply, so we can expand that one, see what they had to say, and then further down, you can keep expanding those based on which one you want to take a look at. Come up here and we can collapse it. So since it's org mode, you use the tab key to expand these nodes. If you drill down to one particular node and you hit, we'll just do this one. If you hit it twice, tab twice, it expands the entire subtree. So you can even do that for the top, right? Hit tab again, and you get the entire thing. So, all right. Okay, so why might you want to use something like this? Well, for one, if you want to download a large conversation for archiving purposes or whatever, and the other simply because you have nice searching capabilities. Once you have it downloaded in Emacs, you can just search for a username, the original author in this case, and I can just it's incremental search, so I can just Control S all the way through. So that's another nice benefit of this. Okay, so I'll maybe talk a little bit about the implementation of this. So the idea here is we're generating an org mode file, and basically this is done with a PowerShell script, and it's only about, I mean, it's less than 90 lines long, and really that's got a few extra comments in here. I think last time I measured it, it was like under 80 lines. To download the actual tweet data into JSON format, I'm using this utility called twarc2. It's freely available. There's a GitHub page on it. Pretty good documentation. And so yeah, I use that to download the conversation and the original tweet right here. This actually gives you the data in kind of like one big list of tweets. So they're not, it doesn't give them to you in this hierarchical format. So basically the rest of this function here, tweet thread to org mode, this takes care of arranging that list of tweets into a hierarchy based on who they replied to. You can see it's pretty straightforward. Um, Basically, it goes through every tweet in the list that it originally gave us, and it adds a new property. This is PowerShell, so you can do kind of like dynamic things like that. Adds a new property called replies, and then it takes care of going through the entire list and setting the replies accordingly. And then there's this other function, display thread, that goes through and takes care of actually displaying the thread data as an org mode file. So something that you should know is that in order to use twarc2, it does require you to have a Twitter API key, or so you need to set that up and then configure twarc first for that. Once that's available, you can maybe test out twarc manually. Then you can run the script and generate your org mode file from that, or using that. So I should also mention this particular issue that I noticed. If I used this on older threads, like months or years ago, I noticed that it wasn't always working basically on some of these older ones, and it looks like, so I asked about this on Stack Overflow, and one of the project participants for twarc mentioned that the way twarc works is it uses this search capability, and with a regular API account, um, or like the standard API key that you'd get with a regular account, it can only search or return data from the last 7 days. So if you run it on threads that are really old, it's likely not going to return anything if you have one of these accounts. So apparently you need like a special API account um, to allow you to get that older data. I think he mentions here you can get like an academic version of the account, and that'll allow you to do older searches. So for my purposes, this works fine. I'm just able to basically download a discussion, archive it, search, navigate it the way that I mentioned, and I'm pretty happy with that. But I think to make something like this usable for others, something that would be nice would be maybe like some kind of web service where you just put in the tweet ID and then it displays for you, like just in the web page, basically the thread for discussion. So that'd be maybe something to consider doing in the future if anybody's interested in that. Um, More for like the Emacs hackers out there, the script is written in PowerShell, and then after I run it there in PowerShell, I'm getting, the org mode document. So something else to consider would be basically just re-implementing the PowerShell code directly in Emacs Lisp, so that you'd have just some single, self-contained utility within Emacs that you could run this from. And if you wanted to go a little further, you could remove the dependency on twarc2 and actually pull the data directly using the Twitter API, like directly within Emacs. So that way you'd have a completely self-contained utility within Emacs without relying on twarc2. And then finally, if you wanted to go a little further, the way I'm doing, obviously the way I'm doing it this here is I'm just displaying an org mode document, a richer Emacs client which displayed the threads like this, and then maybe allowed a little more interaction, like actually replying, liking, maybe posting new tweets entirely. That'd be kind of nice as well. So this is basically just a really early rudimentary prototype. I'm happy to use it myself. I wouldn't say it's ready for widespread usage, but I wanted to show it just in case somebody's interested in this sort of thing. Maybe if, for folks out there who are comfortable hacking PowerShell, or just reading it and converting it to whatever system you wanted. That's an option as well. Anyways, I think that's all I had to say about this. So let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, we can discuss it further. Okay, thanks. Bye.